If you want to share it, go to my page, Renee Baribeau, the Practical Shaman, and you can share it to your page from there.
I don't know how to do that,
That's
Renee.
okay. I don't know if I can share it to your page.
Page two. I can just put it in the chat and then whatever you want to do with it.
All right. Well, I'm putting no because we're live. Hello, everyone. We are live. How great is that? All right. Uh, this was an impromptu live. I was gonna be interviewing Elizabeth Jenkins, who let me just introduce her so you know how wonderful and how lucky we are to have her with us today. I say she's the real deal. When I was writing Winds of Spirit, I sent her the chapter on my Hawaiian wind because I wanted to make sure that I was in integrity. And she gave me really great feedback on it. And when I have a question about what's going on in Peru and what's going on with the Q'ero, I go to Elizabeth because I know that your research has been, phenomenological as well as I'm sure intellectual. But Elizabeth Jenkins is the international best-selling author of The Fourth Level, The Return of the Inca and the Journey to Q'ero, widely considered among the most influential book on the Inka Nature Wisdom Tradition. A fourth-level spiritual teacher of the Andean tradition, she is known for association with Juan Nunez del Prado, her adventures into Peru, and her service as a Chaka-Runa, or a bridge person, a translator between the world views. And welcome.
Thank you, Renee. Aloha.
Aloha. Right. We're here. We're going to talk about a couple of different things. So if you're here listening, I would just ask you right now, hit share. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your groups. And because Elizabeth is starting a course tomorrow on the Shift Network. Now, you've seen some other courses on the Shift Network about, Q'ero shamanism, or it's not shamanism, sorry, the Q'ero traditions. We called them shamans. I don't believe they ever did. They were Paqos. And so
Yes.
I believe that you're going to get the real deal with her. And I'm not to say that somebody else wasn't giving you the real deal, but I know her lineage of teachers have kept the traditions really pure and really sacred. And I highly recommend it. So I'll put the link below and you could use my, what do you call it? I get an affiliate code. Well, and I might even get a couple dollars if I ever add up to enough.
Okay.
So first, let's go into, before we get into the course, you told me all of this new exciting work that's going on in Peru.
Yeah. So, Renee, thank you so much for having me. This is just a pleasure to renew our bond here after it's been a while since we've had a chat. So it's really nice to get back together.
I'm having coffee, and I know you grow coffee.
Yes, we do. And we put macadamia nut cream from our mac nuts into my coffee in the morning. It's delicious. So we have an organic farm here in Hawaii, but what's been so stunning, Renee, is the last 5 years. I've been studying the Q'ero since basically in Peru since 1988. So it's like going on 36 years, I think. My math's not that good. I think it's around 36 years. But the last 5 years since we founded the Global Paqo School, this is co-founded with me and 12 of the really most well-known, most respected Q'ero Paqos, 6 men and 6 women. And I have over 4,500 hours of translated wisdom of the classes they've taught, of everyone, all the students from all over the world asking questions, really delving into the absolute and utter authentic tradition. And so our school has developed into there's nothing else like it, because we're training people in as close to as you would be trained if you were a Q'ero Paqo in Q'eros. The only reason I feel like I can do this, who's this white girl teaching this indigenous tradition? What's up with that? A very good question to ask. When I first went down there, we had this Andean priest that I went to this, I was invited to this ceremony that had no other white people. And they said to me, the Apus told us a psychologist from North America was coming, but we all thought it was going to be a man, right? We all assumed it would be a man. So there was some kind of an agreement, and this fits really well with the Inca prophecies of this time, is that there has to be a kind of emergence of the tradition so that this can be shared. And our Q'ero Paqos are so excited about the Texemuyu Paqo Yachayhuasi, in English, the Global Paqo School, because we are expanding the authentic tradition across the planet. And it's all about humans creating harmony with nature, creating these harmonious relationships, connecting with what they call your 12 Rual Kuna. These are the 12 nature beings that surround the place you live right now, and how you you integrate with them. They become your allies, your energetic resources, and you make offerings to them to gain the right to receive their living energy, this energetic exchange that stabilizes and heals and helps each person. The Q'ero call this, it starts with your nature mom and nature dad, right? So, sorry, I'm already getting into the course content I'm going to teach for TSN. It's just
a little taste.
They say we have 4 parents, not 2. Human beings have a human mom and dad that give you your DNA, your body, your culture, your language, your outlook if you're not adopted. But it's your nature parents. They say that your nature parents have the keys to your gold and silver storehouses. Beautiful imagery, which is the supply of your abundance, your health, your happiness, your abundance, your spiritual abundance, your economic abundance, every single form of abundance. And so, we had this amazing encounter with myself and Don Umberto many years ago, where I asked him, what's the biggest illness you see in Western people? And he said, it's so weird. Whenever I call their nature parents, they burst into tears as if they somehow don't know their own mom and dad. And I'm like, you mean you guys are always connected? And he's like, you mean you guys aren't? And he literally had tears in his eyes just thinking about how that would be. So ever since then, this has been kind of my mission to really help people connect, first of all, with your nature parents, and then it spreads out to your 12 Rual Kuna. And for those of you who know about the Q'ero tradition and know what this is how the Misha is formulated. It is by performing sacred ceremonies to the 12 allied nature beings, like maybe the 4 mountains or the sacred site or the 3 rivers or the ocean or the bay or the cave or the big sacred valley where you live. You ally these nature beings, and this is how you create the Misha. This is the authentic method of the Q'ero and actually all the Andean people for the creation of the Misha. This takes it takes time, dedication, intentional pilgrimages. But think of us all out there making these sacred relationships, creating a sacred geography for us to live within. This is the point. This is, to me, it's so exciting. It's so beautiful when you come home. You guys know this. I mean, I'm sure some of you already experienced this, or all of you maybe. You come home and you feel that kind of, welcome home. And that's your nature being saying, oh, we're so glad you're back home. So nice to see you. Here's some love. Here's some nectar for you. So this training that we do at the Global Paqo School is all about connecting with your own sacred geography, first with your Pacarina and Itu Apu, and the protocols that you must practice as a Q'ero, as a Paqo, a real Paqo. So, as you know, I'm sure all this path is about personal responsibility. And the fourth level, my book you mentioned, is about really taking the driver's seat, like becoming the author of your own life, you know, in a way, your own authority, and being able to direct living energy. That's how we train people. And the great thing is it's the Q'ero teaching. So we have them, we have a team of 3 Q'ero masters every week that you immerse with, and a translator, beautiful man who grew up speaking Quechua. His grandfather was the Alto Mishayok of his village, right next to Queros, not in Queros, but right next to it. But he went off and learned perfect English, and so he's the most amazing translator. The language is so beautiful, and the images, and just hanging out with the Q'ero a couple hours a week is so cool. So this class on the Shift Network is kind of like the prerequisite course to be able to get into the school and have a good beginning to understand these basic protocols. So that's what we're up to, and getting you hooked up to your gold and silver storehouses of abundance. That is the point, purpose, and pleasure of this Shift Network class. It actually starts tomorrow. Wait.
Wow, that's so eloquently spoken as well. So there's so much to unpack there. You talked about a pilgrimage, and for those of you who follow me know that I did a pilgrimage this spring to the El Camino, not the El Camino, El Camino. My editor keeps saying the is the same as El. And so that the pilgrimage is what takes you off of your course, your regular course, so that you can be surrounded in the atmosphere and the energy of the nature. And when you were talking about that, I was reminded about when I went on this pilgrimage, I had been neglecting my spirit bear for years. And before and it didn't happen in any kind of sequence that I remembered. On the journey, the very first night in Porto, I got a dream about a bear sitting right outside my kitchen window. And then when I got back from the journey about a couple months later, I got a dream of another bear. And this time the bear claw is coming in the door. It's like, Renee, the door, you know, we're coming for you. And when I was recording about that third bear dream, I realized that a month before I had left on the journey, I'd had the first bear dream. And, you know, because when you said, like, our spirits know what we need. And if we're not paying attention, you know, they might have to knock on your door or window 3 or 4 times before you really get listening. And I know in the I know this is broadcast on the Shaman's Cave and the Practical Shaman and in my Wind Clan. And I know many of you have asked a lot of questions about the Q'ero. You know, I went to Peru many times in my training, and you know, but then I found the wind, and the wind said, "This is your training for now. I'm your teacher, and this is where you need to be." And I honored that nature as well. But I love the Q'ero tradition. What I love is the heart that they bring, and what you were talking about is being a white woman. You know, I was going to give a TED talk this year, but then I had this fear. Like, who wants to hear this talk about we are nature from an Indo-European white woman? And so you just gave me permission to really reconsider that we were called.
Yes, ma'am.
We didn't go looking, they called us.
And we have to step up and, you know, and also do it appropriately. Like when I started working with the Q'ero, as soon as I received money from my books, I immediately created a nonprofit, the Wiracocha Foundation. And over the last 5 years, especially over the pandemic, we've been able to do incredible projects. You know how they talk about the Q'ero prophecies saying that they started to see the glaciers melting. Well, hello, that's global warming, and that's a problem in Q'eros. We just were able to install 3 huge water reservoirs together with the help of our Q'ero project manager, Juan Calcino, who's an amazing Paco, an amazing coca leaf reader, and also he handles our projects. And we founded a cultural center in Peru in August of 2022. So we have a cultural center. We have now created the Q'ero's very own website, first ever. And they offer coca leaf readings. They offer a traditional Q'ero healings via Zoom. You can do a sacred journey because guess what, folks? Right now, the most sacred Apu in Q'eros, Huamanlipa, is under threat of gold and silver mining. The government has sold 60% of the concessions on Huamanlipa to bring in foreign miners. So the first thing we did is we got with Francisco Apasa. Some of you may know him. He's an amazing, probably has 40 years experience reading the Mama Coca. He said he read the Mama Coca. We recorded it. He said, if this comes into our land, it will destroy our culture. Gold and silver mining is toxic, as we know, and that's the headwaters of many rivers, of many places are there in Q'eros, of the Amazon, that's where the Paucartambo River, where the Vilcanusta starts. All of this would be a disaster, an environmental, utter disaster, but it would destroy the Q'ero. They have a cultural patrimony, but that's only within the country of Peru. What we are attempting to achieve is to get international recognition for the Q'ero as an Inca Ayu, the last Inca Ayu. They were nominated the last Inca Ayu in Peru, cultural patrimony, in 2007, I think it was. But now we need international status so they have more punch, more power to protect their place. And as with all these kind of developing things, there's people telling the Q'ero, oh, you can have a lot of money. No, it's the same with the development everywhere. This is going to be an environmental disaster and a major cultural destruction of their homeland. And Hatun Q'eros, for those of you who don't know, we've been up there. I've been up there a bunch over the last 5 years now to carry out these projects. We put Wi-Fi in 4 villages. How about that? So now there's 5 villages in Hatun Q'eros. There's a total of 6 villages: Choachoa, Chalmachimpana, Cochamoco, Colpacucho, Charcapata, and Chalmachimpana. Chuachoa, sorry. So we have huge water reservoirs in the 3 of those villages that had no more water. We have Wi-Fi. We sent 22,000 pounds of food up to Q'eros over the pandemic. We did a whole bunch of Christmas fundraisers for they call them chocolatada, where you send up hot chocolate and bread, which is like amazing treat for them, up to the villages. We bought 2 new herds of alpacas to improve their fiber because their cultural center sells their weavings, and we're trying to create an economic engine for them, also with the sacred travel of the cultural center. So I would really love to share with you, Renee. And if you would like, we could offer your listeners like even a discount code or coupon if they want to book a healing or a coca leaf reading with these guys.
That would be great. I'm sure they would love that.
Yeah. So we want to promote the site to get people to go on it. This is their own site. The cultural center is run by 3 kids that Wiracocha Foundation put through school, in private school in Cusco, who all graduated now university with degrees in tourism and administration, hotel administration, and all this kind of great stuff. And they're putting all those skills to use. These 3 kids, it's Maximo Apasa, who is the son of Juan Apasa Flores, who is the son and the grandson of Don Mariano Apasa, who many of you probably know or have heard of. Karina Kespi Casino, whose great grandfather was Don Manuel Kespi, and Aurelia Apasa, who's the daughter of Francisco Apasa. So these kids, they're so beautiful. They're so gorgeous. They have those big Q'ero hearts. But can you imagine? They jumped 500 years in one generation. They were born in Q'eros, in those little stone huts with the thatched roofs that had no electricity, no running water when these kids were born. And they now have graduated university. Like, what a mind-blowing thing. And so their point of view, and they're learning, they're getting their English pretty good. So we want them to be able to be the ones that are translating directly for their elders. And
absolutely. I've always wondered about some of the translations that I got along the way.
You have to wonder, because sometimes it's just people promoting their own esoteric ideas, and it's not people that, it's really a complex act to translate for the Q'ero, because their Quechua is very different. It's very kind of specialized. You know, they didn't have much contact with the outside world. Hatun Queros, that's in the center of the Q'ero nation, had no road until 2017. So this is recent for them. The leader of our school, Papa Don Martin Kespi Machaca, he's amazing. He's the most epic teacher. He gives these beautiful epic speeches. He told us about how he walked through the mountains for 4 days and 4 nights, sleeping by the side of the road to get to the closest thing that's a town, Paucartambo, right? And how they got all these blisters on their feet, and it was so painful, but they got to taste this exotic, luxurious thing. They got to experience something so exotic. It was a piece of bread. And this was like, wow. And he said to us, he said, when we came towards your culture, we got our blisters. Now you coming towards us, you're going to get your blisters.
What a great metaphor. Well, unless you walk the Camino and you get some blisters, then you know what a blister is.
You know what I mean? So being in the presence of them, they work with the power of Munai, right? And that's the love and will directed by love. If every act of will was directed by love, how incredible would our world be, right? Not disconnect our will from love. That is where everything goes wrong.
What is that new website? Do you know the website by heart there, so you can?
I do. It's called, do you want me to write in here? It's Q'eros Culture. Q'eros.
Well, that's in the chat, but if you share it, I'll put it in after you watch this, I'll put some links. I'll put the links to the Shift Network class. I'll put the link to the Q'eros, and I will also, but it's very simple. Q'eros culture.com. That was a good one. You must have bought it early.
Yep.
That was like a really good one. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can just share it. Maybe I know what I can do. Hold on. I'm very high tech.
You are good.
I don't know about that, but
I love you guys to see the first page of it. Oh, this is like,
I'm going to show it to you right now.
we just finished it.
So look at this.
So scoot back one page. Oh,
Well,
there.
it's going by itself.
Going by itself. Okay.
So that's Woman Lipa that she was talking about the silver and the gold mining.
It's our mountain of Lipa.
Yeah, that's a very sacred mountain. And then here's the Paqos.
There are some of the Apu Paqos, as they're known. And then if you go another one, can you click on that little arrow?
Well, I am. Yeah, these are the Q'ero houses.
With the Apu behind.
And
There's our Nusta Paqos.
these are women. And they're lovely. I love this.
On Mama Simona Mountain, the only female Apu in the 12 sacred mountain system of the Cusco city. So if you're familiar with Apu Ausangate, Apu Salcantay, they're on each end. Mama Simona is in the middle, and she is the only female Apu from whom you can see all the other Apus, and her job is to connect and integrate the living energies of all the other Apus. Sounds like a female job, doesn't it?
It does. I've actually, I walked Salcantay and I climbed Asangate before there were lodges and before there was hot tubs and all of that. So I've been there. Oh, this is a great picture.
Maximo, he's one of our Q'ero youth that run the Hatun Q'eros Cultural Center, along with Freddie and Rudith Waman, who are these guys are young, so we have two elders helping them, two Peruvians. Actually, one of them is our translator, who also Freddie Conde Walpa, and his wife, Rudith Waman Roman. Can you go to the next one? Can you click that little arrow one more time? There, that's the first page. Look at that.
This is page one.
That's page one.
This is a great picture there.
Beautiful.
Of chewing the cocoa leaves. For those of you who aren't familiar with this beautiful, beautiful tradition, I really, really highly recommend you take this course with Elizabeth Jenkins that starts tomorrow. And if you're watching this later than tomorrow, you have a few weeks to sign up because it's recorded and you can go back. But she says that there's going to be actual Paqos on there talking to you. So you don't.
Not on that course. That's
that's the school.
But they invite a Paqo in.
Okay.
But on this website, if you click on that little heal button up there, or if you, yeah, that's where
you can book can you see this?
Yeah.
So you can actually book a session, and they're powerful sessions. I had a cocoa leaf reading this summer by Vilma, and it's really it's a whole different kind of a reading than us Westerners are kind of used to, because they really care about your system and your family system and what's connected to whom, and and we just want to give me the details. But it's a whole different thing where if you really want to connect deeper to yourself and to your story and healing, definitely a healing journey, and you'll never get a healing with more heart.
So go back to the heal, Renee.
Okay.
Click on the book of Coca Divination.
Nice. And this is the one you're going to give us a discount for? Is that what you said?
Do that.
So, she'll give us a cocoa leaf reading. The cocoa is the medicine that they use to navigate high altitudes, and they also use it for divination and for digestion. Is it too? It has many uses.
Mama Coca. Cocoa is a chocolate, but coca is this sacred plant of the Q'ero, and that it is the food. So when you make an offering in this tradition, which is how you gain the right to receive by giving, so you make your offering and you always feed these coca leaves. They have tremendous alkaloids in them. So as Renee said, they help you manage altitude, they take away your hunger, they help you keep going, if you have a long trek through the mountains. The mama coca is also really good for your teeth, interestingly enough. We had a friend, the dentist, did a whole study about the mama coca. The thing is, you will have a lot of people, if you just go to Cusco and people will just off the street say, oh, I read the coca. Oh my gosh, no. This is such a, you can't imagine. It's like 3 PhDs for us, the training that they go through to learn how to read the Mama Coca. And as you can see, like you were saying, they read first your health, then your relationships, and then your abundance, your economy, your work. Because without your health, you don't have anything else.
Mm.
And other thing that's brilliant about their coca leaf readings, because they, in our school, that's how each student is tracked. You get 3 healings, coca leaf readings, consultations with our master coca leaf readers each year in the whole year-long program. And they can divine with the Mama Coca. Are you better with medical intervention, or is this a spiritual illness that you need the kind of healing that the Q'ero can provide and that we teach our students to do? So we all do the healing work for each other, doing this deep, amazing training. So each person gets to experience what the healing feels like as you're learning how to do it. And this is always the way it works: health, relationship, economy, right? Because all of those things are holistically related to your well-being on every level, just as you're saying, Renee, so beautifully.
Well, I don't say it nearly as eloquently as you, but so I think, is there anything else you want to leave people with before we go here?
Here's the other thing that we're doing. In 2014, Mama Simona opened her Misha. So her altar was discovered with an original Misha, with original 450-year-old kuyas in it. Can you imagine?
Ah,
Our translator, Freddie, he was there just by magical coincidence at that moment. So about a month later, I got a phone call from Doña Agustina, who's the widow of Don Mariano. And she said, Elizabeth, it's time to bring out the feminine knowledge, the female knowledge of the tradition. So since 2014, we go and work with all the female apus. We also work with the masculine ones, but we start with the feminine apus. Wakai Wilka in the Sacred Valley, if you know who she is. Some people call her Veronica. That's a Spanish name. But her Inca name is Wakai Wilka because she was a pre-Inca priestess who stopped the war of the 7 tribes in the Sacred Moon Valley of the Incas with her sacred tears. So that's what her name means. Wakai Wilka means sacred tears. She is an incredible healer. I had a personal experience of being physically healed by Wakai Wilka. And we are going to begin our journey to Peru. We go every year, and the funds we raise with Huiracocha Foundation Peru trips go and fund our kids' educational program. So we get to keep bringing up these Q'ero kids with a good education in a school where they're not bullied. If you can imagine, they get really bullied in Cusco because they're not city kids. And we're going to start with Wakai Wilka. We're going to Pitusiray, who's the Inca princess that looks over right in the Sacred Valley. We're going to go to the Coricocha, which is the female lake, right? The Coricocha, where Pachacuti Inca got his enlightenment because Chanyan Coricoca, the warrior priestess, took him there. And that's how he rose up and was able to, if you guys I know have heard of Pachacuti, right? And his sacred Koya, Mama Anahuarque, because the Incas ruled as a sacred couple. The Incas had no slavery, no poverty, and a no market economy. What culture, can you tell me, had that? In the 1500s when the Spanish showed up. They had a beautiful, beautiful culture that fell. But the Q'ero are immersed in those values of that culture. And we work with our group, our Paqo teachers from our Global Paqo School. We will work with all 12 of them on our Peru trip that's coming up in November 21 through December 3rd. And we will go to Q'eros, to Hatun Q'eros, and do the first sacred travel to help get in the face of that, offer the Q'ero something, a much better alternative to gold and silver mining. We're creating a sacred travel program with the Q'ero so that you have to pay a fee to enter Q'eros, and that goes to take care of the community and help them. So this is our job here, guys. Let's help our Q'ero family. They really need us.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, if you weren't signed up, I bet you're signing up now. And Elizabeth, it's always a pleasure to sit with you and to, be part of, your wisdom circle. And I really honor and respect the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Renee.
Okay. Let's see. We're going to go off of Facebook. Hold on. Thank you, everyone. And watch out for my new book that's going to come out this fall. It's called A Pilgrim's Guide to Walking Wisdom. And for those of you who know I'm a wind walker, it's about the 1111 insights that were given to me when I was doing that walking. So we'll see you really soon.
Wonderful.
I'm trying to get off of